Dearest viewer, allow me, if you will, to spill some Earl Grey tea upon producers whom seduce us with 50 shades of fantasy.
I feel wonderful.
Tantalizing indeed. Almost brought one to her knees, though, if you please. The talk of the ton ought not solely to be on the taking of such creative liberties. Pray pay heed, the true scandal.
Yeah, that's right, Jane Austen fan XOXO, I said it.
Spanning several centuries, that even today's society seems still...
You must make haste!
...entirely ill-equipped to handle.
You're not being historically accurate anyway. You may as well.
'Tis our duty, dear viewers, to direct attention, where some reviews have failed to mention senses submissive to sexual tension, I'm sure. Alas, let us focus long enough to implore, to help me explain more. Might I turn towards greatly esteemed members of the ton whom have recently been binging upon Bridgerton in 1813.
This is not about accuracy. I wish to be entertained.
In someone else's dream of London. It's not all talk of historical abomination, but more a tour and celebration. A chance to explore imagination, and indeed, that which appears beyond its capabilities.
Oh, I love a good period costume.
Imagination is rife in the wardrobe department.
Bridgerton Costumes.
The costumes in Bridgerton are not historically accurate. They were never meant to be.
I'd say the overall mood of the series is like Regency era fanfic in general. As in, it's how we imagine Regency era was like.
Imposing 21st century passion for impossible to sustain fast fashion.
Dresses have arrived.
Most of the wealthy people usually got new stuff at the very beginning of the season for the whole season, which lasted a couple of months.
And we can all imagine how this attire may have been fashioned.
These dudes are wearing full suits at breakfast. And like, that's a badass coat.
One ought to sort fact from fiction.
Can we stop with the tight-lacing tropes?
Support ought not to cause such friction.
Not only are corsets in the show worn without any type of undergarments,
Wear a damn shift or chemise.
which results in like painful, bloody chafings.
Alas, pay heed to the following diction. We shall all bleed until we succeed in altering depiction. Let us proceed.
I don't mind that the characters wear heavy eye makeup
Fluorescent color, zippers, modern fabrics,
and they wear their hair down and they wear
visible eyeshadow,
jewel encrusted gowns,
and glitter.
and that there aren't any bonnets to be seen anywhere in the show.
Oh my god. Are those? Are they not?
Historically accurate costumes?
Dun dun dun! No, they're not. That's okay.
I don't mind that.
I'm not that upset.
It's definitely something fresh and new.
The costumes are legit.
Oh, I love a good period costume.
In Bridgerton, it is immediately clear that we are witnessing an alternate universe, fantasy version of 1813 England.
Ooh, this looks so regal.
Linguistic liberties are taken too.
It also, maybe it's just me, but
The writing seemed
very what Americans
idea of what British aristocracy sounds like.
This is what Americans think all British people talk like, by the way.
History is a cacophony of voices, all of them competing to tell their own version of the story.
Romance novels are a sort of fantasy storytelling. Modern writers creating fantasy worlds that are inspired by history, where there's a lot of over-the-top dramatics, odd social behaviors, and just loads of happy endings in every capacity.
Sometimes it felt like I was watching softcore. Oh, I guess I can't say that.
Within the realms of imagination, a minor manipulation of British monarchy.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of Royal history is at the heart of the stories we tell about the past.
Fantasy Regency romance.
Ooh, this looks so regal.
Kings and queens. Dates and facts. All unchanging and fixed forever.
Where is the actual Prince Regent? The period is named after his function as the head of state after his father was not capable of leading the country anymore. So the Prince Regent was a larger-than-life character of his time.
He was excessive in everything, in women, in wine, in food, in clothes, and in art.
He would have been at all of these balls. He would have been at all of these parties. He would have flirted with every single Bridgerton.
Or Bangerton, depending on your mood.
Shonda wanted a 21st century audience to see themselves in these characters.
I feel like they attempted diversity.
So diversity was very important, particularly in casting a Black Queen Charlotte.
The character of Queen Charlotte was 100% a real person.
She was my favorite character in this entire show.
You know what's really crazy though? It's not even as historically inaccurate as you may think.
There was a Queen Charlotte married to King George III of Madness and Hamilton fame, and the television series Bridgerton portrays her as Black.
It's widely discussed that Queen Charlotte was either biracial or had some type of African heritage.
Certainly seemed to show the face of a woman with African ancestry. What do you think?
So that had me intrigued. I actually read the books, and of course the books are a little bit different than the show.
The entire book is cast as white. So
for her to add this character, a queen who was not even in the book, to display that, I thought was done great.
Queen! King George III suffered his first bout of mental illness in 1765.
Where is the actual Prince Regent?
Fantasy.
Obviously it's dramatized, isn't it? But like...
Fantasy.
It's not a historical romance, it's
fantasy.
A historical fantasy.
Okay, we in the 1800s. Oh, wait a minute. There's Black people.
So when the trailer for Bridgerton came out, and people saw how diverse this cast is for a project that takes place in the early 1800s, they must have been thrilled.
As we love to see inclusivity, right?
Nah, not everybody. One person was even quoted as saying, "Our history is not their history. Please stop blackwashing everything."
Now here's a portrait by Ramsey. Here's a close-up of it. What do you think?
Bridgerton is not a history lesson. It's a show for a modern audience. So just relax.
Fact is, dearest viewers, we are all worthy of escape.
I've always loved Jane Austen. Regency was always like my favorite thing ever since 3rd grade when I first read Pride and Prejudice. I wanted to be included in a world like that.
No matter in which of our desired fantasies we choose to partake.
I wanted to step out of the world and I wanted to delve into some fucking smut.
Fantasy.
Fantasy Regency romance.
This show has a good amount of juicy moments.
I think it's been described as the horniest show on Netflix right now.
Even from the first episode, you get some action.
There's a lot of general horniness. There's a lot of kind of eroticism and intimacy, and that's a big part of the plot and of the characters and of the entire show.
They even got orgies in this thing.
She's overtly sexualized and participates in a threesome the very first time you see her and only has one speaking line later down the line in the show.
My wife.
It is a pleasure, Mr. Bridgerton. Behind the boundaries of imagination, seemingly just out of grasp, ideas of equality and liberation could not be woven into
fantasy.
Past.
You're not being historically accurate anyway.
You're able to do whatever you want. You're a man, therefore you have everything.
Men of the show, they are these sexy, independent, incredibly wealthy men who flirt and get laid and have the best time at London parties.
Guys can run around and be rakes.
I'm a painting Bridgerton. I'm a nice gap year Bridgerton.
All they want, sleeping with all these different girls, and girls don't even know the basics of what sex is.
How did she become a child if she's not married?
I do not know. I will find out.
Already. How does a lady come to be with child? Eloise, what a question. I thought one needed to be married. Whatever are you talking about? Apparently it's not even a requirement. Eloise, that is more than enough.
Here comes the Duke to save her.
Oh, he is fine.
Pardon me.
And now Daphne has a genius idea.
Your Grace, we need a scheme. Quite so. Have you heard of touching yourself? A fake courtship. Yes, that's what I was suggesting too.
Oh, she is,
Oh, without the jacket?
Oh, God.
What do I even do?
She literally just discovered her libido.
Close your mouth, please, Michael. We are not a codfish.
It's at this point that she and the Duke decide that they are going to have this little scheme to make everyone think that they're a couple, right? They come together and they start, like, pretending like they're a couple.
If this is to work, you must appear madly in love.
She's drinking every syllable he is saying.
Oh, well, we all know what's going to happen. They're going to fall for each other, really, aren't they?
Hello.
Well, of course, they slowly fall in love.
Do you guys like that trope in movies and books and stories? That setup of like,
Fighting, they're making up, they're fighting, they're making up.
they hate each other, then they love each other.
I just was like, what is this?
But to marry in such haste would leave many episodes to be filled. How could it be done? Oh, I have some ideas. Now we're doing it on the patio. Now we're doing it up a ladder. Now we're doing it at the pig contest.
Now hear me out, because I know you guys are hopeless romantics, and I am too. I just don't think that she should have ended up with him at all. The Duke told her so many times that he didn't want kids and that he didn't want to be married. Perpetuating this idea of like, oh, if he's difficult to love, just love him harder.
I love all of you. Even the parts that you believe are too dark and too shameful.
I love you. I love every inch of you.
And here's the thing, is it's like she had the prince right there in her reach.
From the moment I laid eyes on you,
Right from the moment when I met her, saw her, I said she's gorgeous and I vowed.
One question to ask. Can I say something crazy? Will you marry me?
Can I say something even crazier? He is perfect for me. I am going to be a princess.
With that attitude, you're halfway there. I just have such bittersweet emotions. I want them to be together, but I also want her to be a princess.
A princess!
I feel like this sort of message of he's unavailable, so that's why you like him more, is just dangerous, you know? I just think it's dangerous.
1,000 times yes.
Queen! If love has taught me anything, it's that you don't pursue the person who's actually open and forthright with their feelings. No. You want someone who can't express their emotions to a healthy manner.
The whole series is narrated by Lady Whistledown herself, which was voiced by the world-famous Julie Andrews. That's the OG Mary Poppins and the lady from The Sound of Music.
Oh, dear.
Close your mouth, please, Michael. We are not a codfish.
See, you'd think in these times they were all posh and you'd like, no, they're getting fucking rogered up against a tree.
Sometimes it felt like I was watching softcore. Oh, I guess I can't say that. All I can say is I'm glad that I wasn't watching it with my mom when those scenes happened. Because that would have been awkward.
Fantasy Regency romance.
It's a world where you can refuse a Prussian prince because you're not in love with him. A world where, you know, aristocrats invite their boxer friends to their weddings and no one is offended. A world where people of color are equal in society and not treated inferior as they would be in Regency era.
This is something that we don't often get as people of color, to see our faces on a screen, to see people who look different than the Eurocentric Western norm.
I personally think it's important that viewers get to see people that look like themselves in every class level of society.
But here's the thing.
It was marketed as a show that incorporated color and race into a historically inspired universe with a diverse cast.
So diversity was very important.
They really showcased the diversity on all the posters, you know, like all the ads really showed it. In the books, the entire book is cast as white. So this was a choice that was made by the casting directors.
Fantasy.
You're not being historically accurate anyway. You may as well.
Fantasy.
I was so thrilled to see a Black man as a romantic lead.
Holy fuck. Who is this man?
And don't get me wrong, incredibly handsome man. But also an incredibly handsome, light-skinned Black man who does look very European.
So characters like Simon and Marina and the Queen. So those characters are the ones you see interact mostly within high society, and they're portrayed by light skin tone actors. So So you usually see light-skinned characters get the better or happy endings than you usually see darker-skinned characters as secondary roles, servants, villains, stuff like that.
You are my worst failure.
Oh my God.
That was a bit harsh.
The most evil character in the show is hands down Simon's father, right? Because he basically abuses a small boy. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he is one of the darkest skinned people on the show.
Did you receive my letters?
You are my worst failure.
Oh my God.
That was a bit harsh.
I just was like, what is this? You have this show that had several young women, and you had one biracial character.
The unfortunate Miss Thompson, who from the beginning of the show is with child, and she is not afforded the same fantasy life and the same luxury that all of the other characters get.
And what I saw was what we always get, which is like black women in positions of power, or black women who are being portrayed essentially as like a Victorian baby mama. Like, that's what we got. And it just kind of perpetuated that negative stereotype, even though it's not even like modern day.
Entirely delectable, quite sociably acceptable, melanin just detectable, but not enough to ruffle the Featheringtons. Such are the limitations of the curator's imaginations.
You know, sometimes during the balls and the dances or the boxing matches, you'll see other people of color, but they're just in the background.
You have to really consider, like, the background actors get pennies compared to just like having one line.
It is a pleasure, Mr. Bridgerton.
It was a conscious choice to kind of color the background.
Damn, you were on some next level manipulation, okay.
Flawless, my dear.
It feels like Bridgerton and the showrunners were making claims of addressing race in this show to lure us into watching this show.
Right?
We don't like this.
Take a seat, Brad.
Bridgerton neglects to actually address anyone's race until halfway through the series.
There is a line that mentions that they talk about race.
And then they never mention it explicitly again.
And I really felt like they should have done like the Cinderella way, where they don't even really address it or explain it, because I don't feel like there needed to be an explanation as to why Black people were included in there.
Fantasy.
One line, like, or like 2 or 3 sentences thrown into an episode 4 episodes in.
We were 2 separate societies, divided by color, until a king fell in love with one of us.
Oh, so we are addressing color.
In that moment, when they said it, it almost seemed like a line that was added that wasn't a part of the original script.
It's clearly fantasy. The costumes are not historically accurate. No one wanted them to be historically accurate. And it can stay fantasy. You can just not say anything.
When you claim that color and race are part of the show, they need to be actually part of the show and not a 30-second segment in an 8-episode series.
Share that with the world.
If these claims hadn't been made, then this show would have been an excellent example of seeking diversity in casting.
So by saying something, they took a huge step in, and that's where I think a lot of the failings began.
Oh, enough, I beg of you.
Do something about it.
Seeing people of African descent in a Regency show gave me satisfaction in a way that I can't really explain. After 30 years of watching Regency films, usually book adaptations, and never seeing a face like mine unless it's someone over in a corner cleaning something, maybe. This was warm and fuzzy. Beggars can't be choosers. Like, I'll take it.
Appears I could have used that luck of yours today.
The next person who gets a shot and gets a show like this,
do it. Be bold.
Do better.
All right, let's talk in the comments below. I would love to know, what did you love about Bridgerton? What did you loathe? Thank you so much for watching this video. It was an absolute pleasure to create. Much appreciation and love goes to my fellow content creators, whose videos you can catch in the playlist entitled The Talk of the Ton, which I shall link in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the subscribe button, give it a little like, and I will see you next time. Peace, love, and light to you all. Goodbye.
This is too sensible for me, man. Don't have a dream. How you gonna have a dream come true?